The Hood is a game that has, for the most part, has run its course. There's still a player base, but it's a shadow of its former self. It's so bad that people will clown you for even playing it in the year 2025. This is understandable, and there's a lot of good reasons for this, which I'm not going to get into in this video, because this video is for something else entirely. This video is about a really niche aspect of the game which is almost entirely overlooked. To me, it's something that has remained fun throughout the entire history of the game, and it's something that I think a lot of the community either misunderstands or flat out dislikes. What I'm talking about, of course, is crews. Crews have been my only reason to play this game, and it's, in my opinion, the one not cringe reason to play the game. So to start off, I'll give a quick rundown of what crews are. Something that has always ruffled my feathers is the way the community has no idea what a crew or a raid even is. Listen, pick me number 9027, getting stomped by a friend group of 3 people isn't a crew raiding you. A crew is more like a clan that you'd find in other games. It's a group of a lot of people that play the game together using a group and a Discord server for their members. The purpose of crews is to fight other crews. People join crews for raids and for wars. Raids are when you get your members online and you find another crew to go against. It doesn't always have to be other crews. You could just raid random servers, or you can help a member out who's getting outnumbered. But I'm not gonna lie to you, this is more or less what it looks like when you're raiding random servers. These raids honestly made playing the game really fun. If you're in a larger crew, you can have really big fights where the entire server is filled. Something about a 19v21 or even an even 20v20 is just 100 times more fun than anything else the game has to offer. Fighting out big raids is the only enjoyable part of the game. If you're not a crew player, the fights you get into are smaller. At best, you'd have a fight involving 20 people in the server, and the server has 40 people in it. Occasionally, you'd get into a fight with like a big friend group, but that's pretty rare, and it doesn't happen much. Dominating another crew in a raid is just peak enjoyment.
What do you mean by that?
The big fights were insanely fun, and it's where I made the best memories I have on the game. Even getting completely demolished and completely smoked in a raid by another crew is more fun than any experience I've had of just playing the Hood by myself. It's a chaotic, shell-shock inducing battlefield. So that more or less sums up the experience of being in a raid. What about wars? Champion, aren't raids and wars the same thing? Shut the fuck up, new gen. Unlike a raid, where you try and outfill the opposing crew and outnumber them, a war is a pure contest of skill, where you put your best players against their best players and... Wait, what's this? Half of them are unlegit? Yeah, that's the thing about wars. You bring your best players to a 10v10 or 5v5 and use fair rules and a fair wave-by-wave setup, but most of the players in them are injected. Here's how a war goes. First, you set up the rules. This will be in a group chat with the other crew. These are things like no RPG, no flame, no coming back if you died, no mountains, no wall shooting, no sucking off your teammates, etc. And they're all things to keep the gameplay fair. In this group chat, you decide whose VIP server you'll be using and what region the war will take place in. For example, if you're NA East like me, you don't want to war EU kids on their own ping. Next, you get your members in, and the first thing you do is buy guns, armor, and food, and this is called grace period, and it's between every wave. Then you go either uphill or downhill, which is determined before you join, and then the wave starts. And the team downhill pushes the team uphill. Rarely, the team uphill will be stupid and push the team downhill, but you can't come back if you get stomped. So the team who gets fully stomped loses. That's usually how a war goes anyway, because some crews will do more of a raid style war, and there's a lot more concepts to wars like auto wins and fill wars, etc., but I won't be getting into those. Like I said previously, the one not so fun thing about wars is that most people are unlegit, which is ironic because it's a lot easier to hit your shots in an environment where 10 people are sometimes peeking the same angle at the exact same time. So what the fuck happened? Why are crews no longer relevant? Well, the Hood is a game where most people playing it aren't interested in PvP. These players are for the most part NPCs. If you join any public server, you'll see what I mean. These players aren't playing the game as a PvP game. To To these players, the hood is more like dollhouse roleplay for noobs. These are the players that will whine and groan if you random them. And they're also the type of players who sit around bank chatting with other players more than they use guns. This is perfectly fine, and I'm not hating on anybody for playing the game this way, but these NPCs have more or less no interest in being in a crew, and they're more or less the entire player base. So this makes recruiting harder, and it makes finding raids harder. You used to be able to join any public server and find HRs from another crew to raid.
Vacant women and children are crawling everywhere like maggots! How marvelous! It'll be a massacre!
This is half of the reason crews haven't been thriving. The other half is exploiters, which is also more or less the entire reason the game died in general. In 2025, exploiters are still an issue in raids. I was recently in a crew where every raid would have 5 exploiters on both sides. It really made playing in raids fun for one group of people, the exploiters. And to be fair, I don't think they had much fun either. I've been on the winning side too, and it still wasn't fun to have an exploiter do all the work. In a raid, you can get demolished, butt-fucked. I'm talking touched by Diddy himself on the other team in a raid where you have 15 people and they have fucking 25 people and they have like SEAL Team 6 on their team. But you bring one exploiter? And you start winning that raid. So it really made playing against exploiters not fun, and there was only one thing you can do if the enemy team had an exploiter, which is bring your own exploiters. And you can see how 5 exploiters end up in both teams' crew IDs after that. Another weird thing crews would do is alting, where they would just have alts in the game in their crew ID, so it looks like they're outfilling you, but in reality it's 5 bacon hairs sitting AFK somewhere. But some crews had the bright idea to have these accounts, instead of alting and sitting there, now they're auto-stomping people who aren't in your crew ID.
Oh my god, it's Albert Einstein! It's Albert Einstein! Oh my god, it's Albert Einstein! Oh my god!
So over the years, the exploiting problem has just gotten worse and worse instead of getting better. But to be fair, I don't completely blame exploiters and raids for being the reason crews fell off. I think that if the game still had 20,000 concurrent players, that crews would be in a much better state. So overall, that's my take on the most fun part of the game, as well as why they're not doing so great anymore. If you want to be in a crew, I am making my own crew again, and if enough people join, we can hopefully start doing raids very soon after this video goes up. I don't think crews will ever be as great as they were before, but they're still, to me, the only enjoyable part of the game.